Welcome back, everyone. So today we're going to take a look at the latest Koda Pack update. That's going to be Koda V3. If you grab the V1, you'll know how to install it, but we're going to cover that real quick. Again, just in case you missed it. If you saw the last video, then you'll know that we've already plugged in IP Adapter Advanced with batch imaging. I think I covered that towards the end. But I've improved it, added a few more features. So it's time to give you the rundown. So first of all the installation information is down below. So we're going to be downloading the GLM3 safe tensors. We're going to be downloading the Diffusion PyTorch model FP16, which will go into UNet diffusers colors. And we're also going to put a copy in the text encoder folder inside models diffusers colors. We're also going to get all of these config files and put them there. Then we're going to get the IP adapter from Kolors IP Adapter Plus. That's the name of the file. We're going to put it into IP Adapter Colors. Colors Clip Vision. So we download the Clip Vision model. It's a PyTorch. Stick that in the Colors folder. We're also going to get the Misto line for the control net. We're not going to touch that one today in these workflows. We're going to be focusing on the IP adapter mostly. And then we use the SDXL VAE. Now all the links are there. And that's the structure of diffusers. Every other file, you should be able to figure it out. So I took the 8-bit. It seems to have the same quality as the FP16. There is a 4-bit, which I haven't tried, but it did seem like there's less accuracy. So although it's cool to be able to have it smaller, 2 gigabytes, 2.5, this is a big difference, and it's the same. So, or near enough. So from here is where you're going to take all of your config files. But when you get to the text encoder, you don't need all of these bin files. You don't need anything which isn't in this list. All right. When you download them manually, sometimes it will add the name of the folder, text encoder. So if I download this config, it'll change the name to text encoder _config. So make sure you rename them. As for the IP adapter, it's right here, IP Adapter Plus, easy. And for the text encoder, it's for the image encoder, it's inside PyTorch model. That's your Clip Vision, right? And so what I've done, like I say, I didn't rename them. I just put them in a subfolder, right? And then I can just, like I said, my workflow is going to look for the subfolder. All right. So memberships are here. I've added donator and member. The donator membership is just you want to support the channel, help us grow. Member, you're going to get some exclusive video access. So look out for the upcoming date and check out the join now button for more information. Back to the video. Now we've got all that out the way, we can take a quick look at batch. Now this is where I started. I took IP Adapter Advanced and this is how I made my frog guy. I generated 4 of my knights and changed the word lady for frog. And then I did this with the image to image workflow. All of the stuff we're doing today will be text to image. So I've created these images, put them into the IP adapter, used IP adapter noise with shuffle, put the images into a batch. We've got them on 1024 by 1024 length, so keep proportion at 64 multiples. Now, I'm not going to run this because I want to come back to it in a minute, and I've significantly improved this. So the way this worked, if you didn't see V2, was it's like multi-operation. So if I turn these off, it's going to take the model reference from here. So we set it here and get it here. And so when it's bypassed, it just goes through. And that means we can effectively turn off everything and just see what it was going to make. So yeah, so if I just see what the model would have made from just the prompt. And as I say, I've completely overhauled it. So I'm not going to look at the SUPIR. In all cases, you can turn SUPIR on and it'll make the upscaler work. All right. So here we have an image of a frog. And as you can see, it's a little bit cooked. But this is fixed when we do the IP adapter with the references that we liked, that we already made. So if I just turn on IP adapter now, That's now going to pass through. And if I make another one, but this time using all of this, and these were generated using the same prompt pretty much. All I've done is change the weight to make it have more background. So in this, it's obviously, here's the whole image. So by playing with the weights, 0.3 for Frog Knight, 0.4 for his armor, and then rubble and debris making up quite a strong influence, you get something like that. And like I said, this is pretty cool. So I thought it's time to build on some of the stuff that we had in the Trio workflows, like Trio 0, for example, take it a little bit further and maybe update it. And in the end, we've ended up with something which is probably better. So I would call it Koda 0, but I'm still working on it. So give it a minute. Right. So that's essentially the core of the system. That's essentially what we're doing. You could now turn on the upscale with same seed, or drag the image back in and, regenerate. But the point is, this works amazingly. The image quality is actually really good. So what I've done is I've taken it to the next level. And here I present Koda IPA Embeds V7. Now this is a little bit more complicated than the last workflow. So I'm just going to make the previews a bit smaller. Okay. In fact, let's go full screen. So what have we got? What we've got is obviously SUPIR at the bottom. We've got face swap on the right. We can actually turn SUPIR and the face swap off, right? Face swap is using our pre-trained models, and I have trained some more face models using colors, so they match a bit better. And there's a new feature as well. We got face booster, which is quite nice. So we'll have a look at that when we get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start where everyone would start, and it's worth just going over this. Now there is going to be this explanation will be in the write-up. I'm going to update it, but I'll take you through how this works. So when you first open it up, everything is disabled and it will be on model 1. Model 1 is no IP adapter, nothing, right? It's just text to image, right? So when we use it, it'll just do colors text to image. So for example, I've got photo of a distant samurai lady, okay? And it's producing, well, here we go. We'll just run it and we'll go through it and show you what I'm talking about. Because we can do the face stuff first and then move back, and this is going to work nicely. So what we're doing, just to run through it, obviously, is I have used the set node. I've gone set model, set IP adapter, set clip vision references. Didn't do the VAE. I really should have done the VAE. Don't know why I didn't do that. Probably because there's only one. Because what I've done is made it multifunctional. Okay, so there we have our image. That's pretty cool. And so what I did was I generated a whole bunch of different ones. And then I've kept the ones that I've put the ones that I liked out of my changing the prompt up, whatever I wanted to do. I've kept the ones that I liked and put them in there. Okay. So let's get back to how this works. So when you're on switch 1, it's just text to image. So now I've made a bunch of images and put them into the IP adapter inputs, right? All I've got to do is go to model 2 and then select IP adapter 2, right? So there's a number in brackets which matches which switch you want it on. It's actually really easy to use once you've figured it out. And we're going to go through in stages, right? But it's all in one. So if I go now to the IP adapter, you can see that the IP adapter is now running and it's setting model 0, which is why we've swapped it over, okay? And what this is going to do is allow us to preview what the result is. So if I now make an image with this setup, right, we should get an image. Now, obviously, if I was to go with 4:5, we're going to get different images, right? So the aspect ratio has a huge impact. So always play around with different aspect ratios, right? So we've got, it's making cool images, much better than the ones that it was making before. And that's because of the IP adapter is drawing extra detail by adding tags from Clip Vision. So it looks at the pictures and adds that as embeds. But the thing is, every time you make an image, it's doing the same computation every time. So it's a good idea to save the embeds. So what you then do is you go to step 2, save embeds. Right? Now in step 2, we leave that one on, right? And we leave this on. It's all on 2 still. So all I've done is basically gone, I think I'm happy. I'm going to save it. And that's going to enable the save embed section. All you got to do is put in a name for the files. So I'll say 2. And I might do like a project thing in a future update where it like does this for you. But for now, you just put them in. So you could put a project name in and then it will just autofill. That's the idea. But for the sake of simplicity, here it is. Now, remember, you've got your weight for the positive and you've got your weight for the negative. Okay, and what's it going to do? It's going to save these into your outputs file. I'm going to show you in a minute. Because what we're going to do is we're going to move the files to the input file and then refresh. I use a colors folder and I use positive and negative subfolders, but you'll see. So once we've done this, we only need to queue one image and then that will save the embeds. So after that, we don't need the IP adapter on up there anymore. So we can turn both of them off. Go to stage 3, load embeds. So select switch 3. Always match the number to the switch. All right, so now it's going to reroute the output to feed this. It's pretty sweet, actually. I hope people can get to grips with this because it's very useful. So now what we've got, if I just do the file thing so you can see that. So if I go to my outputs, no, not out, yeah, outputs. And if I just sort of scroll down there's the files, right? So I can just select both of those, copy or cut them, go to input. And what I've done, I think it's like, is it going to get there before me? There we go, IPA embeds. And then I'm going to go paste here. I might even make a colors subfolder as well, actually, but just, you can organize them however you want. You just put them all in the same and then have the colors in the name if you want. It's whatever you want to do. Right. So now we've moved those saved embeds into the input folder. If we refresh the workflow, we'll be able to now load them. Now, the reason for just loading the 2 like this is pretty much just to check what you actually did. And then obviously, if you're not happy with it, go back and actually, because the whole reason I put it in stages is so you can tweak the images that you put in and keep going until you're like, but I already did that. So I know I'm happy with these images and I know it's going to make some nice samurai girls. So let's look for Lady Samurai 2. So I've obviously already done this. If I go Lady Samurai 2 and Lady Samurai 2, that's why I've marked them positive and negative. You can look at how all of this is hooked up. We might go over it in a bit, but for now, and how it's saving and things. But for now, we're just going to sort of give you the walkthrough. And then I'll demo it, basically. So from here, what I've done is I've set style transfer 0.7 and V only. And then we are just going to run that. So off we go. Now, if you see an error, model no reference, you've probably got the switch at the wrong number. So just check that whatever you have enabled, because you should only enable, it's like one at a time, except for when you're saving embeds. And face swap and hyper can be used with any level. That's why they don't have a number. All right. But yeah, I've tried my best to make this easy for you guys. So yeah, as you can see, there is a slight difference. I think I've got it on fixed seed. So just to point that out, there is a slight difference between the embeds and doing it with images. And I found that usually it's a bit better, actually. But it is, it's not the same image, but it's close. It's close. But the reason that I'm doing this is because It's less computation, which means you can fit it onto a smaller machine. And also there's more stuff that we can do in a minute. This is a bit like a cheap man's Lora, because you don't actually have to train anything, but you can also use lots of different prompts with these embeds. You could think of it a bit like an aesthetic embedding, or a textual inversion, maybe, a bit like that. But this is like going to be a style reference catalog or a style reference library, which you'll be able to pull in. I'll show you in a sec. So what we've done so far is we generated a bunch of stuff. So we're nearly done now. From stage 1, we had nothing enabled. We're on switch 1. We make a bunch of images. We put the ones we like into these. We then go, yeah, I'm happy with that. Then we go to stage 2 and enable IP Adapter. Now, because we generated a bunch of images with the colors model, it's going to play nice with the IP adapter. And then with this setup, you can then start generating and check you're getting outputs that you like. All right. At that point, you enable save, give it a name, and run it once. After that, turn it off. Go to step 3 and move the files. They'll always be in your output folder. So you move them to the input folder, and I suggest a folder structure, but you can use whatever you want. At that point, we now select the embeds that we just made. Now, all of this is just to check that you're creating a good embed so that you can rely on it later. And you can make as many different, you can take as many prompts as you want, make as many images, put them in, see that they work, and then save them and just build up your a little folder of embeds of styles that you like. Okay, styles or characters or locations, scenes, it can be anything you want, right? And you can mix them too. You can mix them up here to make unique combinations and then save those and then mix them, which is the next point. So now what we've done is we've already tested our embed and we're happy with it, right? And let's say we've done this a couple of times. Well, now we can move to stage 4, which is just a switch. Stage 4, stage 4. Now remember, at any point you could have used the face swap or the upscale. All right, it doesn't matter. Just try to only use, one stage at a time, with the exception of save embeds, which can only be used with stage 2, like I said. I think it's logical. I think it makes sense. Make a bunch of images, put them in, turn that on. I'm happy with that. Save it, switch it into load mode, check that they're good, and now we can move on. And like I said, when we get to stage 4, this is where it can get quite fun, because we can end up doing things that we couldn't have done before. I found I was actually running out of memory when I was abusing this with far too many images and stuff. But anyway, by doing this computational step once and then loading it later, we save all of this business. So when we have stage 4 loaded, we go to the top panel. Now you can add as many of these as you want, as many of your embeds, right? And obviously you're saving some negative embeds as well. These are a lot more lightweight, so I don't, you can mess around with it anyway. It's just a little change it. And I've named them so I know what they are. There's no point explaining. A lot of these are not the true world proxies from my SDXL model. So I'm using a caption from one of my old models, which generates a similar styled image because colors is pretty good. Then we're making a lightweight embedding, which represents that style. And it's actually smaller than a Lora. It's nowhere near as good as training for real. But you can't train, as far as I know, you can't train Loras for colors yet. And if you can, it's not really accessible. I tend to wait for it to be accessible so that I can show people how to do it. If it's too rocky, I don't want people jumping in the deep end just yet. But feel free if you know how to do it. Obviously, that's great. Now, if I come in here, I'm going to load my embeds, my positive embeds. For this, it's going to be Skyforge, Rockhouse, and Cloud Empire Neo Future. If you've ever used my SDXL Not the True World Lora, you'll know those are two unique styles. So I've blended two of my styles effectively with a multi-line prompt. And then we're going to add these embeds, and we're going to add the negative embeds, and then we're going to put it on 0.7 style transfer. Okay. And then that. And then we've got a prompt. We haven't got a prompt that matches the style right now. This would have made scenery like buildings in clouds. Pretty much buildings in clouds or houses on rocks in clouds. That's what this would have made. I can show you some examples in a bit, but let's just rock this one with the picture of the woman and see what happens. So obviously there's a reference to a woman here, right? But it's going to load it up with the style of the buildings and the science fiction influence. It's interesting. Okay, now I know with the face swap, I'm going to change it so that it is, this is like the basic implementation. I'm going to change it so that it's masking, so that it's putting hair and things back on top. But for now, it's simple. So you probably will notice on side profiles a difference in the color of the skin. So if I just quickly enable the face swap, and I can show you that, it's very simple. All it is reactor. It's the reactor face swap that we normally use with CodeFormer. And then we've got the new reactor face boost with like, sort of down weighted a little bit, up weighted and down visibility, Lanczos CodeFormer, right? And obviously these are still settings I want to play around with. I've only just got my hands on the face booster. Right now it's changing it to Janny. And like I said, because we're swapping a Caucasian face onto an Asian woman, where the hair ended, the skin tone shifts, right? I don't think I've got any Asians, do I? Oh, well, I've got a, it's kind of made her a bit too, like I said, you can turn it down. That's a little bit better. But what I'm looking for is the lack of pixelation on the edge that we identified before. The only thing is that these aren't swapping as well as they usually do. We're getting some weirdness going on. That's funny. It's kind of made the eye bulge out there. Because you get really good faces out of this. But I just wanted to show that there is something if you want. It just doesn't do very well with the profile shot. I wonder if I could just get another one, which maybe wasn't a profile shot, and then we'll move on to the scenery, because that's where it's really powerful. We're not really hooking into the embeds very well. Yeah, come on. Okay, so we've got woman now. Okay, and there it is. It's trying to swap it, but it's making weird mistakes. So face swap, maybe a little bit sketchy. Let's just turn it off for now because there's no need to cook. But like I said, I did retrain them on images from this model. So maybe do photographic or CGI to train the faces. Did I have that workflow open? No. Did I have that workflow open? No. Okay. So what I did was I created a create face model, and I just added a whole bunch more images and created a whole bunch of nice references when I created them, the faces. I think I used like probably 9 or 12 images to define the face models this time around. And they do work really nicely, but you have to be facing, they're not very good at doing this side profile. And that could just be because I didn't put enough side profile examples in my face model. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, I've got a house on a rock. So this is like a proxy of Rock House and Cloud Empire. which was 2 styles from Not the True World. Obviously, there's no actual image training here. It's just drawing the tokens in a really good way, really good way. So how did I do this? Well, what I did was I started off by grabbing some tokens from one of my old models. So let's just do that now. If I take Ancient Realm style and Paradise style, so let's get over to the prompt and just do it from scratch. So this is going to run down. We're going to run it down now. So if I go model 1, because we're starting a new project here, I'm going to put my prompt in. These are artifacts from my tags, so we don't need them. Now, I don't like to distract it with aircraft or vehicles, so we'll just take those out. And smokestack can sometimes make it go nuts, so get rid of that. And we've already got no humans once, so we can get rid of that one there. In fact, no, we're going to leave it just like that. So I've taken 2 captions from one of my data sets, no image, just the caption. We just plonked it in there. I'm going to start off with the aspect ratio 4 and 5. Leave it on randomize, no negative prompt. And we're just going to make an image and see what we get. And then when I get a good image, I'm going to slap it up into the IP adapter. Okay. So, okay, I like that. So let's just speed things up, shall we? We'll go for 4 images at a time. We'll go for 8. And now I won't be able to keep up. Oh, that's a point. When we're actually happy, because this is like, I'm happy with this prompt. It's good. It's making cool stuff. So if I just cancel my queue real quick. If I just go with, I tend to just go 4 to 4, because I tend to just go from 4 to 4, 5, 4, 3, and leave the width alone when I'm doing this step. You obviously get different images when you're going wide or tall or square aspect ratios, right? But the IP adapter prefers square images for this implementation. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually use square images, which is why I just decided to stop there and like kind of. But the flow is we make a bunch of stuff. We get our prompt nice, and then once the prompt is nice, make sure it's at 1-to-1 like it is now. And so look, yeah, this is pretty much what see, if you actually looked at the model I trained, it's a lot of pictures like this anyway, but these are better. These pictures are better, and they're the same concept with the same style. So it's kind of like, well, I'll just use these. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one that we like a lot for the last one, because that one's going to get used as the noise for the negative embed, right? So it has a little bit more influence. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to chuck the ones that we like in, I think that one's pretty cool. Okay, cool. And now I've got some images in there. Now I could continue to make them and continue to put my favorite images in, right? But for the sake of carrying on, I'm going to say I'm happy with those. So I'm going to turn the IP adapter on. And this is Ancient Realm Paradise, right? That's what we're working on right now. That's the blend from the 2 little tags I took, right? And so we're going to make 4 images. So it's going to make 4 images. I'm going to see if they're any good. And they are better, which is nice. And they're even closer to what I was going for. These sort of otherworldly floating castle things. Right. Yeah, nice. Look at that. That is beautiful. Okay. Bit too much ocean there, but I'll let them get away with it because of the stuff hanging around. It's cool. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to say, well, I'm happy with this. This is exactly what I wanted. Now, something you can do, if you've noticed, is you could make a bunch of IP adapter ones, which obviously look a bit better, and then throw them in here too. And you could make an embedding from that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to enable the save. I'll come up the top. And then I'm going to say this one is Ancient Realm Paradise. Obviously, you can use whatever naming system you want. This is just so I have half a chance of remembering what I did. Okay, we're going to run it just once, not with the for batch. And then we get our cool image. And we've got our embed. So then, again, we're going to go back to the output folder. And we're going to grab the newly cooked embeds. And we're going to put them into the input folder. And then I'm going to put my positive, my positive, my negative, and my negative. And hopefully I'll remember they're there. And then refresh. Right. So now I should be able to check that I didn't just mess all of that up. So, oh, by the way, I wasn't even loading it for some reason. Yeah, so one will actually work no matter what. So what I should have done is I should have had step 2 enabled there. So I wasn't actually looking at what it was making. So let's just check, shall we? My bad. It's still good. I mean, I'm not like, it's not bad. Let's keep make a couple more. Let's make a few more. It's not what it was before, but it's still good. Oh, I know why. It's because, yeah, it was never even using, it wasn't showing us the IP adapter output because the, yeah. Multifunctional. But it's still doing what I wanted. It's castles on rocks floating in the sky. So that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, cool. So now what we're going to do is, as I was saying, we're going to go to the load embeds, and that would be stage 3. Okay. And then we're going to make sure that we have our new embedding loaded. So that would be Ancient Realm Paradise. And then we're going to go here and we're going to get the negative Ancient Realm Paradise. Where is it? You see it? Am I blind? It's the top one. Huh. Okay. And off we go. Okay. So now we're making these. I would now throw it into 16:9 and enable the upscaler. Because I'm pretty confident it's going to make good images. If not every time, almost every time. We got it. Oh, it's a flag. Right, cool. So we're making these awesome fantasy environments, right? So I'm happy that embed works. So now let's go to combine embeds, put it into stage 4. And again, now we can sort of get into what this can do. Because obviously, if I was just to say, right, well, I'm going to pick Ancient Realm Paradise and mix it with Jungle City Neo Future, right? That could work. And let's mix it up a bit by using the negative for Skyforge Rock House first on its own. All right. Yeah, that should be okay. Star transfer 0.7 still. So let's see what that does. Oh no, we've lost the face thing. I'll have to go back to that and save it. Right. There we go. And an interesting thing which I've been looking at as well, if I just put this to one image at a time, this is text to image. When I did the image to image workflow, I started messing around with the denoise as you do to see the blend between the strength. And I realized that you can actually use less than 1 and it doesn't just make it a bad image. So if I now put this to 1, So there's actually a scaling effect. It does eventually just turn into like a gray. So yeah, look, see this? Much sharper, much more. But you can dial it back. I think it was about 0.65 where it broke down. Any lower than that? Yeah, see, it's sort of getting mistier and mistier and mistier. Eventually, it just becomes grey. But this is interesting because there's actually quite a lot of images that you can get. So if I we haven't even started mixing and stuff yet, but I need to explain this. So haven't changed the prompt, right? So look at this. It's sort of fading away. But if you notice, it's actually not just getting more contrast, it's changing on every mark, right? And it doesn't look like much, but if we jump through in fives, it's sort of becoming more and more, it's becoming less hazy. And then and like I said, this is all the same prompt, and I think the same seed, in fact, with the same IP adapters being loaded in and everything. And there's quite a lot of, let's just start going 86. Now we'll do 87. Wow. Whoa. Okay, 87. Because I think it gets a bit overdone towards the end. Oh, wow. Do you know what I mean? This is crazy. So we'll just keep going until we find something that really pops out. And that is also very cool. Now we're at 89. You can see how it's becoming more colorful, more well lit. I'm going to leave it at 0.9 for now, right? And then we're going to enable the SUPIR, and then we're going to put it on 16 to 9. Like I said, just go for the HD wallpaper and see what the settings get us. Now, remember, we've done no prompt editing. There's no Loras being loaded. There's no negative prompts being used. They do work. Ooh, that didn't work. It did work, but it's sort of like not accounting. It wants to be square. I've got a solution for that. Oh, I actually, something broke. Something broke. What's it saying? See, I ran out of memory. See, crazy, crazy things. That's a bit weird though. Why would it? Right, well, I don't want to comment. But what I will do is just restart Comfy. Okay, we're back. I've got an idea. I think it might be because I'd been working on this all day and it had filled up all my VRAM. Something useful in the manager you can try is the unload models button. So that might help. The only thing I can think of is that I made a whole bunch of face models and embeddings, and I think maybe because I'd never restarted the server, it had somehow eaten up a bunch of allocation. But, looking in the performance here, it doesn't look like it really, yeah, see, so it's loading chat GLM, gets to 40% and rising. Oh, and then it drops down. Chat GLM 3, V2. It never goes over 50%, so less than 12 gigabyte. Okay, and then it's going to hit SUPIR. Right, it hits SUPIR, 14, 20, 35. I mean, it's processing, 42. So as long as it stays under 50% VRAM, it should fit on a 12 gig card, but you can never really tell. I know it'll run on a 4090, but that's no good to a lot of people. I know a lot of you guys have bought good graphics cards, or you at least have a 12 gig card, or you've got access to a 16 in the cloud. There's lots of different setups that people are running. See, that's 58% now. See, that would be too big. So if you're having problems with SUPIR, consider lowering the height and width. So here I've set it to 4096 by 2160. The intention is that when you run it at 16 to 9, it's going to make a full 1080p image. Wait, 1080p, what am I talking about? It's going to make a 4K 16 to 9. Yeah. So, you could consider turning that down to 1920 by 1080, for example. Just go for normal 1080p, right? You don't have to go all the way up to 4K. So I'll give you an example of that. So you can get this node on my GitHub. There is a link in the description. Right, and here we go. So it'll be 1920 by 1080. And it's going to do Lanczos key proportion on 16. And hopefully it's not going to explode this time. So yeah, we've got it active. And we've changed the thing. This is a nice picture. Yeah, but we've got it on 0.9. Okay. I think that might... You can always tweak. There's so many things you can tweak. Adding steps, altering the CFG, trying out a different sampler. This is a cool aesthetic, though. See, I'm trying to target something which I trained in SDXL. It doesn't quite have the same detail definition that you can get from training, but it has a better base detail than what you would get without training. Yeah. I think that's the important thing. If we get good fine-tuned community checkpoints that are from this, that'll be amazing. So let me just see here what we got. So it's sort of cleaned it up. It's just kind of made it a bit sharper. Added some textures to different materials. Sometimes it really stands out. And then sharpened up all the edges and things. Sometimes when it does this, it sort of makes it look really quite bad. This is pretty good, actually. Oh, I see another building down there. All right, well, yeah, so there it is. But yeah, so let's get back to this blending business, right? So right now I've got it on subtract. So let's put it on to average, and then we'll put the negatives on subtract. Okay, so this is sort of basic stuff, really, but just to give you an idea, you can do more. You can't subtract Loras. You can stack them all, and you can do strength, but you can't subtract average. There's lots of different ways of combining the embeddings, and then also there's lots of different ways of applying them, and with different weights and strengths. We even have a scaling with a penalty. It's actually crazy. There's more here than I can cover. As you can see now, we've got a completely different, same thing, different, but different look, right? So let's just put it on to add and add, which is, well, I think the default is actually concat, but I find add and average are going to be the most useful. Subtract is just a bit of fun, what's castle minus cat? You can do some just fun things. Right. So there we go, and we're getting our castles with a nice sort of sunrise lighting. And it's going to throw it through the upscaler. So yeah, it looks like I just out of memory from a cache overflow or something. It's not actually the process that crashed it out there. So again, without the SUPIR, it looks good, but it's got some weird stuff going on in the shadows, as in none of the lines seem to line up anymore. And the whole thing is quite hazy, which is nice if that's what you got, if that's what you're going for, and also all of the plants often look like that CGI fuzz that you get in clip art. But SUPIR does a good job of at least making it look like blurry out of focus leaves instead, which look a bit better. And it does fix some of the lines up, but it can't really, I've got it set so it's quite weak. It's not redrawing lines or anything. It's just, and it does mess up sometimes, right? But it's just trying to sharpen up and add some texture to it. And you can prompt it as well. All I use usually is empty or like, default stuff for refiners. So like, good quality, high quality, detail. Okay. So yeah. And like I say, once you've got to there, you can start again. But for fun, let's sort of try a different embed. And I'll just show you what I mean. So if I change it to Cloud Empire and Skyforge Rockhouse again, but we haven't changed the prompt. And off we go. There we go. Now it's completely different because it's taking the information from a different embedding. I think that I might have saved them too strong. I saved them all at 0.1, thinking I had to scale them down when I apply them, but it might be that I was supposed to save them at 0.7, because that is technically that was the style weight I used. I was under the impression I was just getting them frozen at full strength, so it's possible we have to save them with a different weight. But you can check that with the load section, so I'm happy with how this works. Once I upscale this, it's going to go even better. I plan to throw a lot of these into image to image with this, just to sort of give them a little bit more pop, if that's possible. But yeah, the SUPIR output looks nice. It's got very good coherence for a base model. It'd be nice if we could train Loras, but when I looked into it, I think everyone's got their hands full with SD3 at the moment, so you're probably not going to see a colors Lora support in one trainer yet. Like I said, everyone seems to be quite busy with SD3. But we just plug away. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on my hit list. I just want to thank you guys for commenting and stuff, because I've got a few new ideas added to the queue. A lot of it I already had planned, but there's a few things, every now and then you guys will tell me about something which I haven't heard of, and then I go and check it out, and I'll end up building a whole thing for everyone. So the main thing today was to get this out. Basically, it is Koda Embeds, which is for the colors base model. I've already done 2 videos on it. First one shows you how to install and use the text to image to image line art control net. And I think that I sat on the IP adapter for a little while. And then in the second video, we've basically expanded it. And I think now this third version is giving you this sort of multifunctional style of control. What I'm probably going to do for Pack 4 is put it all in one, because that's what I aim for. I want to get it all working reliably and then try to build an all-in-one workflow. And then all of the old workflows will still be in the packs, but the main workflow will sort of sit on top. And then you could pretty much just use that for everything, really. But obviously the other separate workflows still useful for you to build on. So that's why I start with the base workflows. Then we show, like, for example, if there's a new control net depth for colors, obviously I'll do a video explaining what we can do with that and then implementing it into a workflow and so on. It's very easy though, because we've already done it for Trio in the past. So I am doing this new sort of get send business, and it's actually amazing. I got a couple of other things which I want to show you in the coming days and weeks, which will sort of exploit the way this setup is done. So I know it's a little bit of an effort to sort of go, oh, I want to do 2, I better put it on 2. And just to show you what happens when you have it the wrong way around, look, it's not a panic. It won't break anything. It'll just go error. See? Oh my goodness. And all that means is you just have it, it's not matched. So if I've got it on 3, I should have it on 3. But if I wanted to run 2, I should have it on 2. to make sure it matches. And then obviously to disable it all, it's just one, which is what it should come with out the box. So with all that being said, thank you very much to the people who've signed up for the memberships. I'm going to make sure there's some actual stuff for you guys. I really appreciate it because there wasn't actually anything there for you yet. So thank you for supporting me, and I'm going to do my best to keep the content coming for you guys. We've got a lot to cover, to be honest, but covering colors has been a really nice, it's been really encouraging because, like I said, the quality you can get out of this just for the base model is amazing. Be sure to give us a rating on the Civet because that's how that works. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.